Think life in the UK is all afternoon tea and rainy romance? Think again. Beneath the picture-perfect postcards lies a reality few dare to talk about, where loneliness, crumbling systems, and hidden struggles are part of daily life. People are smiling on the outside, but barely holding on behind closed doors. This isn't just another exposé, it's the truth millions are living right now. If you're considering moving, working, or studying here, you need to see this first. The dream comes at a cost. And in this video, you'll find out exactly what it is. Number 10. Hidden homelessness. When most people think of homelessness, they picture someone sleeping on the street. But in the UK, homelessness often looks invisible, and it's much more widespread than you'd expect. This is known as hidden homelessness. People who sleep on sofas, stay with friends temporarily, live in overcrowded shelters, or remain in unsafe housing with no stability. According to the charity Shelter, more than 270,000 people in England are currently homeless or in temporary accommodation, a figure that doesn't even capture those who aren't officially recorded. It's a silent crisis affecting families, single mothers, students, and full-time workers. One of the main causes is the lack of affordable housing. As rents skyrocket and social housing disappears, many people are priced out of their communities. Even those with jobs can't afford the deposit or rent for a flat, forcing them into insecure living arrangements. Government housing support exists, but it's often slow, limited, and full of bureaucratic delays. Many councils struggle to meet demand, leaving people on waiting lists for months or even years. In the meantime, thousands are moved from one temporary facility to another, often sharing cramped spaces with strangers, with no privacy and no long-term plan. The emotional and psychological toll of this is massive. Constant instability leads to anxiety, depression, and feelings of shame and isolation. Children in temporary housing suffer academically and emotionally, as they're frequently uprooted and lack a stable environment to grow. And yet, the public rarely sees this side of the UK. Because these people aren't sleeping rough, they're just invisible to the system. Many foreign residents arrive with dreams of safety and shelter, only to find themselves navigating a broken housing safety net. The UK may have a global image of stability and wealth, but for many, having a roof over your head is still not a guarantee. Before assuming the UK offers security, ask yourself, what happens if everything goes wrong and there's nowhere left to turn? Number 9. Lack of work-life balance. The UK often sells itself as a country that values both productivity and personal time. But for many workers, the reality is a growing struggle with work-life balance. Despite legal protections around working hours, British employees often work some of the longest hours in Europe. According to AEC data, the average full-time worker in the UK clocks around 42 hours per week, with many doing unpaid overtime. The pressure to constantly keep up is high, especially in industries like finance, education, and healthcare. Over time, this creates a culture of burnout, stress, and emotional exhaustion. The situation is made worse by a lack of meaningful downtime. Many workers report checking emails after hours, skipping lunch breaks, and feeling guilty for using their full holiday allowance. Although employees are entitled to 28 days of paid leave, including public holidays, company culture in some sectors discourages taking it all. And for freelancers, gig workers, or zero-hour contract employees, time off isn't even guaranteed. Add long commutes, especially in large cities like London, and it's easy to see why people feel like they live to work, not work to live. This impacts not just physical health, but also family life, mental well-being, and personal growth. While some companies are starting to offer hybrid work or flexible schedules, this is still far from universal. For many, especially in lower-paying jobs, the idea of balance is just wishful thinking. The UK often ranks poorly in international studies on job satisfaction and happiness, with workers frequently reporting that they feel undervalued and overworked. In a society where success is often measured by how busy you are, slowing down can feel almost shameful. Before imagining a peaceful life in a quiet British town, ask yourself, can you really enjoy your life if every day feels like a race you can't win? The UK promises opportunity, but often delivers it at the cost of your time, energy, and peace of mind. Number 8. Housing quality. When people imagine life in the UK, they often picture charming brick houses and cozy interiors. But the reality of housing quality tells a different story. Many properties, especially in older towns and cities, suffer from poor insulation, damp, mold, and outdated infrastructure. According to the English Housing Survey, nearly 1 in 5 homes in England fails to meet the Decent Home Standard, meaning they're officially classified as unsafe or inadequate for living. In a developed country, this is a shocking figure, and it's not limited to low-income renters. Even those paying high rents in big cities often live in cold, poorly maintained flats. The problem goes deeper than aesthetics. Damp and mold can lead to serious health issues, especially for children, the elderly, and anyone with respiratory conditions like asthma. In fact, studies by Public Health England have linked poor housing to a rise in hospital admissions and long-term illness. Tenants often report struggling with landlords who delay repairs or refuse to address structural issues. Even in newly built flats, cheap materials and quick construction sometimes result in drafty windows, leaks, or noise problems. And let's not forget energy costs. Poor insulation means people pay more just to keep warm in the winter, contributing to the cost of living crisis. Owning a home might sound like the solution, but in many parts of the UK, that dream feels impossible. The average house price in England is over £280,000, and in London, it's well above 500. With wages stagnating and deposits rising, more people are renting longer, often in substandard conditions. Some families are even placed in temporary accommodation for years due to the lack of affordable housing. So while UK streets may look quaint from the outside, what's behind those doors often tells a very different story. If you're planning a move, ask yourself, are you ready to pay premium prices for housing that may not even meet basic living standards? Number 7. Knife crime and urban safety. While the UK is often viewed as a safe and orderly society, rising knife crime paints a different picture, especially in urban areas. Unlike the US, where gun violence dominates headlines, the UK faces a growing epidemic of knife-related violence. According to the Office for National Statistics, there were over 49,000 knife offences in England and Wales in a recent year, a number that's been steadily climbing. Cities like London, Birmingham, and Manchester have seen sharp increases in stabbings, youth violence, and gang-related crime, leaving many communities on edge. The reasons behind this rise are complex. Social inequality, lack of youth services, unemployment, and postcode rivalries all contribute to this dangerous trend. For many young people, carrying a knife isn't about crime, it's about survival. In deprived areas, police presence can feel inconsistent, and trust in law enforcement is low. Many teenagers grow up seeing violence as part of daily life. Despite efforts to crack down on knife crime with stop-and-search tactics, critics argue that these policies often target minority communities disproportionately, creating more division than safety. There is a cycle of fear and mistrust, where real solutions remain out of reach. The reality is, while most people in the UK go about their lives safely, there are neighbourhoods where danger feels just around the corner. Parents worry about their children walking home from school. Young people avoid certain areas to stay out of conflict. Some have lost friends or siblings to violence before reaching adulthood. The media doesn't always show this side of the UK, but it's a harsh truth for thousands. While tourism ads show red buses and royal guards, there are entire communities dealing with loss, trauma, and fear daily. So if you're planning to live in the UK, especially in a major city, ask yourself, are you prepared to navigate a society where urban safety isn't guaranteed, and where violence is often a symptom of something deeper and unresolved? Number 6. Class divide and social injustice. In the UK, social class still quietly controls opportunity, access, and outcomes. Despite being a modern democracy, the country remains deeply class-conscious, and this affects everything from education and employment to how people are perceived based on their accent or where they grew up. According to research by the Social Mobility Commission, people from working-class backgrounds earn 17% less on average than peers from privileged backgrounds, even when they have the same qualifications. Social mobility, the idea that anyone can rise through hard work, sounds good in theory, but in practice, the ladder is broken for many. This divide begins early. Children from wealthier families have access to better schools. tutors, extracurriculars, and connections. Meanwhile, others are left to navigate underfunded schools, larger class sizes, and limited career guidance. Even at university level, class differences persist. A student's accent or hometown can influence how they're treated, both by peers and future employers. The posh accent advantage is real, and many hide their background to avoid being judged. In elite fields like law, politics, or finance, hiring often favors those who are already in the club, not necessarily those most qualified. The system quietly reinforces itself, generation after generation. But the class divide doesn't just show up in statistics, it shapes daily life. From the shops you can afford to the pubs you feel welcome in, class is embedded into culture, housing, and even language. People may not talk openly about it, but it's always there, in job interviews, social circles, and public perception. Even access to healthcare and mental health services can differ based on region and income. While the UK is often praised for being fair and inclusive, many live a reality where success depends less on talent and more on where you start. If you're planning to build a life here, ask yourself, will you be seen for who you are or where you come from? Number 5. Weather and seasonal affective disorder. If you've never lived in a country where the sun disappears for days or even weeks at a time, the UK's weather might come as a shock. Known for its grey skies, constant drizzle, and short winter days, the climate here can have a serious impact on both mood and health. From October to March, daylight hours shrink dramatically. In December, parts of the UK get only 7 to 8 hours of daylight, and many people go to work in the dark and come home in the dark. This lack of sunlight isn't just gloomy, it's linked to a real medical condition. Seasonal affective disorder, or SAD. SAD affects thousands of people across the UK every year, causing symptoms like fatigue, low mood, irritability, and even depression. According to the NHS, SAD is caused by a lack of sunlight, which disrupts your body's internal clock and reduces levels of serotonin, the hormone responsible for mood regulation. Vitamin D deficiency is also common due to low UV exposure. While treatments like light therapy and supplements can help, many people don't even realize they're affected. Instead, they blame themselves for feeling lazy, unmotivated, or down, when in fact, it's a biological response to the environment. The romantic image of foggy mornings and cozy winters can quickly fade when you're living under cloud cover for 80% of the week. The constant dampness and lack of natural light start to feel oppressive over time. For newcomers, especially those from sunnier climates, this adjustment can be incredibly hard. Energy levels drop, sleep becomes disrupted, and simple tasks can feel overwhelming. While the UK has its share of beautiful summer days, they're often short-lived and unpredictable. The weather is more than a talking point here. It shapes your mood, your habits, and even your relationships. So before falling in love with the idea of British seasons, ask yourself, can you truly thrive in a place where sunshine is a luxury and clouds are the norm? Number 4. Mental health crisis. Beneath the surface of polite greetings and daily routines, the UK is battling a deep mental health crisis. More people than ever are reporting feelings of anxiety, depression, and emotional exhaustion. According to NHS Digital, 1 in 6 adults in England experiences a common mental health disorder every week. And it's not just adults. Young people are being hit even harder. The pressure of academic performance, social media comparison, financial stress, and lack of community has left many feeling helpless and isolated. For many, the UK's grey skies mirror their internal struggles. One major factor contributing to this crisis is the constant stress of modern living. Long work hours, unstable housing, and poor work-life balance make it hard for people to find time to recharge. Add to that the stigma around mental illness, especially among men, and you have a population that's suffering in silence. Access to help is also a serious problem. While mental health services exist, waiting lists can stretch for months or even over a year. Those who can't afford private counselling are often left to cope alone, leading to worsening symptoms and long-term emotional damage. And when therapy does arrive, is sometimes limited to just 6 sessions, regardless of how severe the condition is. Even though awareness is increasing, the support simply doesn't match the demand. Schools, workplaces, and even universities often lack proper mental health infrastructure, offering token efforts rather than meaningful help. People are encouraged to speak up, but when they do, they're met with under-resourced systems and long delays. Mental illness is not a niche issue anymore. It's a national emergency. It's affecting productivity, relationships, and even life expectancy. Many come to the UK expecting stability and peace of mind, only to find that the emotional toll of daily life is heavier than expected. If you think developed countries guarantee mental well-being, the UK proves that even the most advanced societies can have cracks beneath the surface. Number 3. NHS struggles. The National Health Service, NHS, is often praised as a symbol of equality and compassion. It's one of the few healthcare systems in the world that offers services free at the point of use. And for many, that sounds like a dream. But the reality? The system is underfunded, overwhelmed, and dangerously stretched. In theory, you can see a doctor anytime. In practice, people wait weeks for GP appointments, months for specialist referrals, and spend hours in A&E, sometimes over 12 hours, even in serious cases. A system built to protect is now buckling under pressure. Recent reports show that the NHS is facing its worst staffing crisis in history. According to the British Medical Association, there's a shortage of over 10,000 doctors and more than 45,000 nurses. The demand for services has surged, not just due to an aging population, but also because of increased mental health issues, post-pandemic recovery, and chronic conditions. Unfortunately, the supply hasn't kept up. Patients are now turning to private healthcare, not because they want to, but because they have no other choice. When something as simple as a dentist appointment takes 6 months, it's no longer about convenience, it's about survival. What's even more alarming is the impact on mental health services. If you need help for anxiety, depression, or trauma, you could wait over a year for proper therapy through the NHS. Many give up entirely or pay out of pocket, which isn't an option for everyone. The idea of free healthcare sounds great on paper, but the execution is failing thousands. It's not uncommon to hear stories of people being misdiagnosed, rushed through consultations, or falling through the cracks entirely. While the NHS remains a cherished institution, the truth is that living in the UK doesn't guarantee accessible, timely, or effective healthcare. Imagine needing urgent care and being told to wait months. Number 2. The loneliness epidemic. Life in the UK can feel strangely disconnected, even when you're surrounded by people. Studies have shown that the UK is experiencing a loneliness epidemic, affecting people across all age groups. According to the British Red Cross, over 9 million people in the UK often or always feel lonely. In fact, the UK government had to appoint a minister for loneliness in 2018, something no other country had done at the time. This isn't just about being alone. It's about the absence of deep, meaningful connections, especially in large cities where people are often too busy or too reserved to engage with others. Cultural norms also play a big role. The UK has a reputation for being polite, but distant. Small talk is common, but genuine friendships can be hard to form. If you're new to the country, it's not unusual to go months, even years without making close local friends. In cities like London, people often live next door to someone for years without ever speaking to them. This leads to feelings of isolation, even among young professionals and students. A survey by YouGov found that over 50% of Britons aged 18 to 24 often feel lonely, despite being the most digitally connected generation. Loneliness doesn't just affect your mood, it affects your health. Research from Harvard University shows that chronic loneliness can increase your risk of early death by 26%, putting it on par with smoking or obesity. The long, dark winters, individualistic culture, and pressure to appear emotionally fine all contribute to a society where many suffer in silence. Social media might paint a picture of a thriving life in the UK, but for many, the reality is filled with quiet moments of emptiness. Living in the UK can mean having everything: a job, a flat, a routine, but still feeling like you don't belong. Ask yourself, can success replace the need for real human connection? Number 1. The cost of living crisis. The UK has become one of the most expensive countries in Europe to live in, and the average household is feeling the pressure. Rent prices have skyrocketed, especially in major cities like London, Manchester, and Bristol, where a modest one-bedroom flat can cost over £1,600 a month. But it's not just rent. Everyday essentials like food, electricity, and public transport have also surged in price. According to the Office for National Statistics, ONS, inflation peaked at 11.1% in 2022, the highest in over 40 years. And the aftershocks are still being felt. Despite this, wages haven't kept up, meaning people are effectively earning less in real terms. You might get paid more in the UK than elsewhere, but once the bills are paid, there's often very little left. What makes this worse is the growing gap between earnings and basic living standards. A report by the Joseph Rowntree Foundation found that over 14.4 million people in the UK were living in poverty, including workers, children, and pensioners. It's not just the unemployed who are struggling. Even full-time workers are now relying on food banks, with over 3 million food parcels distributed by the Trussell Trust in a single year. Energy bills have become unaffordable for many, especially during the cold winters when heating is a necessity, not a luxury. People are forced to choose between heating or eating, and that's not an exaggeration. It's daily life for thousands. While the UK is often seen as a land of opportunity and stability, the financial reality can be very different. Tourists might see the historic landmarks and polished city centres, but behind closed doors, many families are cutting back on basics to survive. Living here might look comfortable from the outside, but beneath the surface, there's a deepening cost of living crisis affecting mental health, relationships, and long-term well-being. Ask yourself, would you move to a country where hard work doesn't guarantee security? Living in the UK isn't all fish and chips, red buses, and royal castles. Beneath the surface of this developed nation are complex struggles that don't make it into the glossy tourist brochures. From the crushing cost of living to a growing mental health crisis, from invisible homelessness to a widening class divide, these issues are real, and they're affecting millions every single day. For many, what was once a dream destination has become a daily challenge. This video isn't about painting the UK in a bad light. It's about revealing the full picture, the parts no one tells you about until it's too late. Whether you're already living in the UK or thinking about moving, it's vital to be aware, informed, and prepared. Because understanding the truth means you're not walking into the unknown. You're walking in with open eyes. The UK can still offer opportunities, but they come with trade-offs. And now, you know what those are. Knowledge is power. And if this video gave you even one moment of clarity, then it's done its job. Check out our previous video. It might just answer your next big question. We pour hours of research and editing into each video. So if you found this valuable, please support us with a simple click. Hit that subscribe button. It's free, and it means the world to us.